The 10 best fights to make in 2022. As of right now, it is January 1st, 2022, but still, no fights have been. Actually, no fights have actually happened so far in 2022, but the first one I really want to happen is going to be Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal. Now, it doesn't really make the most sense in terms of the rankings. There's a lot of guys in that welterweight division that are more deserving to fight Colby, like Vicente Luque, like Gilbert Burns, like Belal Muhammad, even like a Sean Brady or something like that, but a fight that really makes a lot of sense for, of course, the Ultimate Fighter is going to be Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington. That is why I cannot wait for the fight. I already know Colby Covington is probably going to dominate to a decision, maybe get a late finish or something like that. But it is still a very exciting fight. The build-up is going to be very intense. And if it's on the Ultimate Fighter, oh my god, what fireworks we are going to see. So that is the first fight I really want to be made in 2022. The second one is, of course, going to be Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 3. There's a lot of people out there saying maybe Conor versus Tony, maybe Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier. They're not even looking at the biggest fight they could possibly make between those two guys. Nate Diaz has 1, 2, maybe 3 more fights on his contract. I would say maybe one of them, at least one of those, in 2022 needs to be Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 3. The first fight, absolutely insane. Nate Diaz going out there, submitting McGregor. Second fight, McGregor barely edging out a decision. The third fight, probably going to be even crazier. So that is definitely a fight to make in 2022. The third one on our list is, of course, going to be Khamzat Chimaev versus Belal Muhammad. Now, you might be thinking, what about Khamzat versus Neil Magny? Yeah, that fight is another fight to make in 2022, but I'm not going to put it on the list because it's a pretty self-explanatory fight. Khamzat's going to win that one. We just saw Neil Magny get absolutely destroyed on CFFC Grappling. We saw Khamzat absolutely destroy Lin Jingliang, so there's not really much need. That's not a fight I really want to see in 2022. It is essential to happen, but it's not what I'm really craving to actually happen. But Khamzat versus Neil, then the fight that really needs to happen, which between Khamzat Chimaev and Belal Muhammad. Maybe Khamzat will have one more fight against one of these top 4 guys before going against Usman, but there's plenty of things that can happen in that welterweight division. Got Jose Aldo versus Dominick Cruz. That is our next fight on the list. This is one, it doesn't make the most sense in terms of rankings. Maybe Jose Aldo versus TJ Dillashaw makes a little bit more sense as of right now. Corey Sandhagen versus Merab, maybe. Rob Font versus Marlon Vera. And then Dominick Cruz versus Jose Aldo. There's plenty of other guys that deserve the fight with Jose Aldo. Of course, like Merab Dvalishvili, he doesn't deserve there's just fight a guy that's on a losing streak in Corey Sandhagen. He deserves a fight with Jose Aldo, with TJ Dillashaw, with Petr Yan, after all of his wins in a row. But Dominick Cruz versus Jose Aldo, how amazing of a fight would that be? 2 WEC champions, 2 UFC champions, the greatest featherweight versus the greatest bantamweight of all time, fighting in the bantamweight division. Maybe Jose Aldo goes out there, fights TJ Dillashaw, wins that one. Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling happens, and maybe Petr Yan or Aljamain has some sort of another injury that takes him out for quite a while. Then maybe you do Dominick Cruz versus Jose Aldo. It doesn't really make the most sense in terms of rankings, but it is a fight I very much want to see. The one after that is going to be in the lightweight division. Of course, Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. Now, this fight is rumored to be happening in 2022, but there's no concrete evidence that it will happen. I mean, Charles Oliveira's calling out Conor McGregor. He's calling out Islam Makhachev, calling out Beneil Dariush. He's calling out so many other guys that are not named Justin Gaethje. So there is a chance Justin Gaethje does get passed up on this opportunity, but I don't think it should. I mean, the fight to make is, of course, going to be Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje, the best grappler in the lightweight division, probably in history, and Gaethje being probably the most exciting fighter in the lightweight division's history. So that is a fight 100% needs to be made in 2022. Khamzat Chimaev versus Kamaru Usman. This is one where I kind of had a little bit of trouble putting this on the list because I don't know if it's going to happen in 2022. It could very well happen at the beginning of 2023. So it's one of those, can Khamzat go out there, beat Neil Magny, beat Belal, maybe even beat one other guy, then get the title shot in 2022? I really don't know. So we'll have to see if Khamzat even gets the fight with Usman by that time. But if the fight is able to happen in this welterweight division, that is 100% the fight to be made, as Khamzat Chimaev, in my opinion, has the best chance of dethroning Kamaru Usman. Got Henry Cejudo, Alexander Volkanovski, another fight that I very, very much want to see. Now, this fight really hinges on if Volkanovski can beat Max Holloway, because Volkanovski's already beaten Brian Ortega. If he can beat Max Holloway for, I believe it's going to be a third time. Max Holloway beat Yair Rodriguez. Chan Sung Jung lost to Ortega. Cater lost to Holloway. Yeah, you got Josh Emmett down here. You got Arnold Allen. You got Giga Chikadze. But those guys are 6, 7, and 8. They still need 1 or 2 more fights before they get a title shot with Volkanovski. So if he goes out there, beats Max Holloway, and he's waiting for these contenders to keep on fighting and then get their shot at the title, at that time, I would say, Henry Cejudo, that is when you decide to come back and fight Volkanovski to become a triple champion. And that is not including the gold medal in the Olympics. So he would be a quadruple gold medalist or champion, which would be absolutely insane. So that is definitely a fight I very, very much want to see in 2022. We got Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. Another one very, very, very much want to see. I believe Islam's going to beat Beneil Dariush. I believe Poirier probably is going to go up to welterweight, or he's going to get maybe a trilogy bout with Conor, maybe a Tony Ferguson fight, maybe a Michael Chandler fight. There's plenty of things out there for Poirier, but he's not going to get a title shot anytime really soon. And Islam is going to wait for the winner, most likely, of Gaethje versus Oliveira. And I believe that one is probably going to be Oliveira. Either way, I would really want to see Islam versus Gaethje or Islam versus Oliveira. But a fight, of course, that needs to happen, needs to be made in 2022. It's got to be Oliveira versus Makhachev. One of the most grappling intensive fights in UFC history. One of the greatest wrestlers and grapplers in Islam Makhachev in lightweight division history. Maybe beside Oliveira and Khabib Nurmagomedov. And Oliveira, the best submissions in UFC history. Islam has the better defense in the striking. Probably going to be pretty similar on the feet. A little bit better in the clinch. A little bit better in the wrestling. Oliveira's a little bit better at range. And Oliveira's a little bit better in the grappling. So it's a very, very close fight. It's a very hard fight to predict who is actually going to be winning that fight. That's why it needs to be made. We need to find out who would win this fight. So Oliveira, Makhachev, oh my god, amazing fight to be made in that lightweight division. Not sure I spelled it correctly, but Glover Texiera versus Jiri Prochazka. It isn't official to actually happen yet. We already have Jan Blachowicz, Alexander Rakic is actually happening. We got Magomed Ankalaev versus Thiago Santos, which is actually happening. So as of right now, we have no idea if the UFC is going to maybe just push Magomed Ankalaev to a title, maybe push Alexander Rakic to a title if he wins. We have no idea. But a fight that I really want to see is, of course, Jiri Prochazka. One of the most dynamic strikers in light heavyweight history. Very, very powerful. He's a finisher 1000%. Pretty much all but one of his professional MMA wins are finishes. And you got Glover this year, probably the best grappler in a light heavyweight division history. Maybe, I mean, there's probably a couple other guys that might be a little bit better, but as of right now, I can't think of anyone else that has better jiu-jitsu than Glover Teixeira. So that is another fight needs to be made in 2022. Last one on the list, Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. I mean, come on, guys. Who doesn't want to see this fight? We got Ngannou versus Cyril Gane. We got Derek Lewis out there who, yeah, he might want a title shot, he might not. But he's been telling everyone on the post-fight interviews he wants a 3-round fight. So why not put Stipe Miocic, Jon Jones, main event of a pay-per-view, co-main event Derrick Lewis versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik, or Derrick Lewis versus Curtis Blades rematch, maybe Derrick Lewis versus Alexander Volkov. Literally any one of these three guys right here versus Derrick Lewis would be absolute fireworks in my opinion. So put Derrick Lewis on the co-main event or on that main card in a 3-rounder, and then put Stipe versus Jon Jones as the main event. The winner of that one fights the winner of Gane versus Ngannou. I can't wait, man. Stipe versus Jon Jones. It's going to be absolutely insane. If there's betting odds for it, it's probably going to be very, very close. I'm not too sure how close they would have it. Let's see if I can find it. I don't even know if they have the odds out there just yet. Jon Jones, Israel Adesanya, that's about it. They don't have any odds for it yet. But yeah, I assume if there are odds that are going to be coming out, it will be very, very close. But that is definitely another fight I really want to see in 2022. But what about you guys? What fights do you guys want to see in 2022? These are my top 10 fights that I personally really want to see. Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic, Texiera, Prochazka, Oliveira, Makhachev, Cejudo, Volkanovski, Khamzat versus Usman, Oliveira, Gaethje, Aldo versus Cruz, Khamzat versus Muhammad, Mcgregor, Diaz 3, and Colby versus Jorge on the Ultimate Fighter. What about that? What about these fights that do you not get, or which fights do you think that should not be on the list, or maybe that should be added onto the list instead? Put your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and everything like that, and we'll see you in the next video. Let's go.